Welcome to the February 8th edition of Octagon Outlook here on the Line Movement channel. My name is James Lynch. Thanks so much for tuning in. I got a great co-host here today. We had a great one last week. We've got a great one this week, joined by UFC Middleweight Zak Cummings, live on location from Glory MMA. Zak, how's it going, man?
Great. Happy to be with you this morning.
Yes, happy to have you here. I think second week in a row, we've had a member of Factory X here as well, Brandon Royval, on last week. So we're just keeping the quota going and all that. But before we get into all the news and everything that happened over the weekend with UFC Vegas 18, just a reminder to anyone watching live, or if you're watching the replay, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. We're always putting new content here on the Line Movement YouTube channel. But Zak, let's get into it. UFC Vegas 18, what a card that was. A lot of upsets, a lot of surprises. But we'll start first in the main event. I don't think this was too much of a surprise. Alexander Volkov getting a second round TKO victory over Alistair Overeem. Volkov looked great from the opening bell, really had Overeem's number. Just your reaction to the result. Was this the outcome you were expecting?
You never know what to expect with the heavyweights, man. It's just one shot. Man, Overeem's always can finish a fight really quick and stuff, but man, Volkov really impressed me. He just looked super clean and comfortable in there. I mean, I feel like sometimes he seems a little clumsy, and man, he kept Overeem at the end of his range, and just sat in the pocket, just kind of like really found his range and found angles on his striking early. You know, Overeem does that high guard shell a lot. Man, he just really picked him apart from that and found the openings that most people aren't able to do with Overeem. So man, I was really impressed with his performance.
I was too. I was expecting Volkov to win, like I said, off the top, and I think the odds sort of indicated that as well. He was the betting favorite going in, but I didn't think it would be that early. I know Overeem's been finished early before, but if you look at Volkov, typically he's not much of a finisher, especially early on. I guess you could look at the fight before that with Walt Harris, where that was also a second round finish. But I thought with Overeem, you just sort of saw, at least over the last couple of fights, that when he was getting finished, it was a bit later. Like you saw the Rosenstruik fight, he was finished, sort of in the last round. In that case, it looked like Overeem had sort of shored up his defense, but this was all Volkov early on. Really, really big win, really impressive performance. Overeem had, I think, back-to-back wins heading into this fight, so really big statement win for Volkov. I think Volkov's got to be one of the dark horses in this heavyweight division. Just 2 losses, one to Curtis Blades, which was 2 fights ago, and then the loss to Derek Lewis, which literally was the equivalent of like a Hail Mary in football. I mean, Lewis knocked out Volkov at the very last second in a fight that I think he would have ended up winning a decision. So Volkov definitely, to me, just proved that he is a contender in this division. I'll talk a little bit later about what's next for Alistair Overeem, but for Volkov, Zach, do you not agree this sort of puts him in that contender spot, obviously behind the guy he lost to last in Curtis Blades?
Yeah, he's definitely up there. I mean, heavyweight's a little in limbo, I think, with the whole John Jones thing moving up, and like what's going to happen with if Ngannou wins and everything with that title fight. But yeah, I definitely think it puts him in a contender fight. Curtis Blades is a solid matchup. I don't know. One of those top guys for sure. But I mean, I'm guessing he's going to have to get another one in, just timing wise, before he'd have to maybe get a shot at the title.
Yeah, a lot of things can happen between now and then. If Lewis upsets Curtis Blades, you could maybe do that rematch, because again, it was weird the way their first fight went. You've got Rosenstruik and Gain coming up. That could be an option for Volkov as well, although I think Blades is going to need someone to fight if he beats Lewis. So we'll see. You're right. It's absolutely a mess right now, because you've got Ngannou fighting Stipe, you've got John Jones, you've got Blades, like I said, who I think should be ahead of Volkov. He won pretty decisively. We'll see sort of what happens there. But the heavyweight division, very interesting. But another finish in the main event, which is very exciting to see. All right, let's get to the co-main event. What a highlight this was. Again, another fight where I felt like, I felt Sandhagen was going to win, but I did not pick flying knee knockout as one of the options for Cory Sandhagen to get it done. He knocks out Edgar, just the 3rd stoppage loss in Edgar's career. What did you think of this, Zach? I mean, unbelievable performance, and early candidate for knockout of the year, I think.
Early, and it's going to be hard to beat for sure, man. That's one of those, like, I'm such a fan of Sandhagen, like just the new up-and-comer, like the new age of fighters and stuff, and man, but the love for Frankie and just knowing that dude has been battling this for years and years and years, that it was so hard to see a knockout like that. But man, the impressive fashion, that the timing, just kind of drawing him in for that flying knee, it was insane. It was so impressive, but it was so heartbreaking to see Edgar go out the way he did, man. But if it's going to happen, seeing someone as good and as cool of a dude as Sandhagen is, it's kind of nice seeing the torch being passed over.
Yeah, I think with in terms of what's next, I'll talk what's next later for Sandhagen. Obviously, huge win. There's a cool video if you guys have checked it out. I know Curtis Blades reposted on his Instagram of Blades, Neil Magny, Drew Dober, Austin Hubbard, all watching the knockout in sequence. There's teammates. Just seeing their reaction to it was very cool as well. So if you guys haven't seen that, go check that out. But for Frankie Edgar, I think this is it for him as a contender. I know obviously it's just one loss. I know he did win the fight before that against Pedro Munoz, although a bit controversial. But this is a huge setback for him because I think had Edgar won this fight, you could have made the case for him fighting for a title just because of his name value, and what he was able to do. But, big setback here. It's now another stoppage loss. I think we're almost getting that point with Edgar now, Zach, where, he's kind of taken a lot of damage because it's not just this fight. You remember the Korean Zombie finished him at featherweight. You saw Brian Ortega finish him a couple fights before that. You hope this isn't the beginning of the end for Edgar, but what did you think of him taking that shot? Because he was out cold after that knee.
Yeah, it was bad. It was one of the worst knockouts I've seen in a while. And it's, you never know how someone's going to recover. I don't ever want to be the guy to they're starting to get finished. Maybe, the career should be done. I mean, that's going to be 100% call on Frankie. Is he want to make another run for the title? Is he just loving what he's doing and just continuing to do it? But it definitely makes you think. I think, he sit back, take some time, let the brain heal after a bad knockout like that, and really just kind of, assess the situation and really what he wants left in the sport. But man, I'll be a Frankie fan for the day the day I die. So I can't, if he fights, I'm going to watch. That's all there is to it. But it's like, what does he want next? That's basically, because he's multiple fights away now to get back in that contender, series.
Yeah, really good co-main event. And again, always love seeing a nice finish like that. Also on this card, we had Clay Guida taking on Michael Johnson in a fight that, this fight could have happened 10 years ago with how long these guys have been in the sport. It's pretty crazy to think that Clay Guida is still in the UFC after making his debut back in 2006, but he gets the upset here, Zach. I love this fight. I love the fact that Clay Guida at 39 looks just as energized and just as, a cardio machine as he was in his 20s. So this is a huge win for him. Michael Johnson, another setback. Johnson has got to be one of the weirdest fighters in the division, just in terms of some of the guys that he's fought and some of the results. Like, he has a win over Dustin Poirier, yet he's lost a couple here now, so this might be the end of the road for Michael Johnson. But Zach, as a fellow fighter, as a fellow fan, how cool is it to see Guida get that victory?
Yeah, I mean, it's bittersweet because again, Guida getting that finish, or not finish, but the victory, and just digging deep and grinding everything out is pretty cool to see. On the other side, Michael Johnson is literally one of my best friends. He was in my wedding. We started this sport together in Springfield, Missouri, and he's been in for a long time. So anytime he falls short, it's personal. It's hard for me to watch. But I mean, I know he got some new coaching, stuff like that. So trying to evolve still. So hopefully, it's just a hiccup, and he has a little more time or a couple more fights to improve and stuff. I mean, he's fought the who's who. He's beat some of the best guys in the world to done it and stuff. But yeah, so it's, these tough fights and everything. It's hard, man. It's a hard sport. You never know. Every fight is it's a different puzzle and stuff. And even though, he's caught and knocked out some of the best guys, man, these hard-nosed grinders like the Darion Elkins, the Clay Guidas, man, they're just hard to get past.
Certainly is. By the way, I had no idea you guys were friends, so my bad on that setup. I would kind of feel awful now for saying that. But yeah. But how the sport? Yeah, well, I had no idea that you guys, because I don't ever remember him even training in Missouri. Like, how long ago was that he was back there training out there? Because I just remember him always being in Florida and at TriStar before that. Day
one. He so I actually got him in the sport.
Oh, so interesting. Okay.
So we wrestled together in St. Louis, and then I'm from Springfield, so I was back there and ran into him at a bar or something. He was gonna come down and play football, and then some stuff happened. He was like, I really want to do this MMA. And I've been at the gym for about a month, and I was like, man, let's do this. And so he came in on Monday, and we started training together. And I had no desire to fight. I was just training. And then me and him just kind of did this little thing where I took the first fight, and then he wanted to fight, but he wanted me to fight with him. So I got we fought on the same card over and over and over. And then we turned pro and just did it. And man, it just honestly, if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't have made a career out of it. And then, I'm the one that kind of got him in the practice room to begin with. But and then we were both trying out for the Ultimate Fighter. He was the first one to make it out of us, and went out to Jackson's for a while, and then went to Florida once that some of the split happened with Rashad. But I mean, we still talk every once in a while and stay in communications. But yeah, it's since day one, me and Michael kind of did everything together.
Well, here's the tough part because he's fought nothing but killers. I mean, you look here, he's fought Nate Diaz, Poirier, Habib, Gaethje, Darren Elkins has a win over Feely, has a win over the GOAT Lobov, fought Josh Emmett, who's I think one of the dark horses in that division.
Yeah.
His last three, it's just unfortunate because even that Thiago Moises fight, he was
beat
winning
Tony
that
Ferguson.
fight.
He was one of the
Yeah,
first.
oh yeah, that's right.
The only one to beat Tony Ferguson until, as of late.
That's true. Yeah, that's crazy. So, anyways, I don't know what they do with him because he's lost 4 in a row now. It's probably not going to get another fight. We'll see. Just such a weird career because, like I said, he's got some good wins, like the knockout over Poirier, but then he's losing, fights to Stevie Ray and Moises. I think fights that he should probably win. So we'll see what the UFC decides to do for Guida. I mean, what do you do with him? He's 39. I don't think he'll be fighting for a title anytime soon, but maybe they give him comer. That's sort of what he was hinting at, I think, in the post fight. What do you think's next for Guida at this point at 39?
Man, I don't know, but I definitely see a surge, man. His last couple performances, I don't know, did he just recently go over to Alpha Male?
He's been there for I think a couple years now.
A couple years. I mean, I feel like ever since then I've seen a huge difference in him. Obviously the gas tank's going to be there, the grind's going to be there, but I feel like the technique side of things are really increasing, and I almost see like a brand new fighter. So. I mean, I know age isn't on his side, but it's Clay Guida. I mean, I already saw the gas tank, so I don't really see him diminishing too much. I mean, he can make a run. He can make a run with the new tools and everything he's getting. We can see, but yeah, I mean, he asked for an up and comer and someone maybe to push him into those rankings. So we'll kind of see how it goes.
And then also on this card, really good fight in the flyweight division. Alexander Pantoja getting the win over the newcomer, Manuel Cape. I don't want to take anything away from Pantoja when I say this, because I did think he got a decisive win in this one, but that's got to be one of the worst UFC debuts I've seen in a long time. Manuel Cape did not show up for those first 2 rounds. It was only in the third he started to pick things up a bit, but I don't get it. This is so odd. This is a guy who came over from Rise and had a lot of good fights, had a lot of good competition over there, and just absolutely laid an egg in this fight. And again, not taking anything away from Pantoja, but I think that's what stood out to me more. I think you have to go all the way back to like a Hector Lombard when he fought Tim Bosch in his debut, as far as a disappointing debut. But what did you take away from this fight? Because it was a bit of an odd one. I thought it'd be much closer.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's different though. I mean, you can fight for these other organizations and do well, but man, the UFC is just a whole nother beast, and I mean, Dana and Joe Silva back in the day said it best. Like, it's hard to get here, but it's much harder to stay there. So being able to perform in that atmosphere and with that top level of competition, it's a whole nother ball game. And for that first fight, I think he was just thinking more too much entertainment and not necessarily like, hey, let's get the job done, because it almost happened to me in my first fight. I'm like, oh, I gotta do this, and literally like right before I go out with the fighter meeting. And Joe Silva was like, guys, like, we brought you here because we like you. We like what you do. Like, you don't have to change anything. If you're here for a reason. Just go do what you did that got you here. And I was like, game plan literally just went back down there. Okay, let's just go out and get our finish. I got a first round submission and went on my way. But it wasn't all flashy. It wasn't all, crazy. I mean, it was a slick submission that I did. But everything before that was just, basics. But that's what got me there. That's what got the win. So yeah, I think it was a little more just trying to entertain and a little more, that stuff. And instead of just, hey man, get your head down, put the work in and just you got a tough fight on your hands with Pantoja. So, you can't throw all the extra crap in there. You have to get it done.
Either way, big implications. Pantoja getting the win here. Does he get a title shot off of it? We'll see. There's that other big flyweight fight coming up between Askar Askarov and Joseph Benavidez. If Askarov wins that fight, maybe he's ahead. I mean, a decision is, a win is a win, but, a finish probably would have been more likely for him to make some noise. Obviously, Moreno and Figueiredo are going to fight next, but I'm thinking the winner, maybe Pantoja might get it. We'll see, but I don't know if he'll get it just off that win. Also on the main card, we had Beneil Dariush and Diego Ferreira. What a fight this was, a rematch. Long time coming for this rematch. And it is Dariush getting it done, who is a slight underdog. What'd you think of his win? He's really turned things around in his career after losing back-to-back fights.
Yeah, again, another man. I'm a big fan of him. He's such a good person. Like, I've hung out with the PI a little bit. He's just a really chill dude. And man, I just that blue collar work ethic where he just puts his head down and goes to work. And I really feel like he gets overlooked a lot. I mean, he's been caught. He's been put down with a couple losses, but when it comes down to be able to compete with the best guys in the world, he absolutely can do it. I thought both of those guys kind of deserved a little bit more, which, I mean, I know he spoke a little bit after the fight, but that's a tough fight, which he jokes around about that he gets all the tough guys that are like a lot of people don't know are not highly ranked, but a really, really difficult fight. Like he just gets those guys. So still being able to be as successful as he is with that type of opponent, man, he's good. He's good, and I'm a fan. I hope he gets someone higher ranked next.
Yeah, he's got to. I think like a Paul Felder or Rafael dos Anjos, one of those types of fights. I know him and RDA used to train together, but that type of opponent that's pretty well known, I think, is where Dariush is at this point. Like, I don't want to see him fight, even if Makhachev beats Drew Dober. I don't want to see that fight. I think Dariush should be ahead of him. In my opinion, maybe Ferreira could fight the winner of Dober and Makhachev as well. We'll see. Just in terms of the rankings, that's what I'm thinking. But either way, big win for Dariush. For Ferreira, he lost, but he had a nice winning streak heading in there. Had the stoppage win over Pettis, had the win over who is it, Rustam Habulov and Taisimov as well before that. So yeah, it's a setback, but I think Ferreira, he's a guy that I think is still a threat in that division. And you lose to Beneil Dariush, which by the way shouldn't have been a split. I thought Dariush clearly won the fight. I
agree 100%.
I don't know what that one judge was thinking on that one a little bit. Luckily, it didn't rear its head in the actual result. And then the last fight we'll talk about here on the main card, Danilo Marquez getting the upset over Mike Rodriguez. Mike Rodriguez, a friend of the show, he co-hosted a few months ago. Unfortunate result here, but Marquez really needed this win. He went out there and looked great. What did you think of these light heavyweights?
One of the only fights I actually missed on the whole card. I don't know, I was in the middle of doing something, but yeah, I heard there was the upset. I heard it was a submission. I didn't actually get to see much of it. I actually had Rodriguez picked a win and stuff, but yeah, I don't know. I didn't get this. I can't talk on that one too much just because I didn't get to see it. But yeah, definitely upset. I mean, he went in and just kind of put his game plan in and got him to the ground and saw what he can do. But yeah, it's always sad whenever someone or they're more a friend of something and you gotta watch him lose, man. It's hard to, like I said with Michael. It's just kind of like you get so invested with people and stuff. Whenever they fall short, man, it just kind of hits home a little harder.
No, it certainly does. And I don't think people expected to finish in this one either, because if you look back here, the last finish from Marquez was back in February of 2017. So really big win for Marquez. He's now won 4 in a row here. I think he's looked great. They're going to continue to push him at 35. We'll see how much of a push he gets, but that's interesting for Rodriguez. I hope this isn't the end of the road. He's lost 3 of 4 now. That Ed Herman fight, a little controversial, but I would hope they give him one more fight. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they would really count that as a loss. I mean, I think Danny even paid him his win bonus or something. Like they knew, so I don't think they're going to hold that one against him. Typically they're not. I don't think they're going to think like you lost 2 in a row. I think they're going to count that as a win, and so hopefully he gets another shot at it.
Let's go through the prelims here. Not a ton to take away from this. Devontae Smith, someone I know you've trained with, getting the win over Justin James. This was kind of a tough one because once again, Devontae had his opponent changed on fight week. Supposed to be Alex Da Silva. Then he fights Justin James at a 160-pound catch weight. I thought Devontae looked great in this fight, especially coming off that major surgery, coming off a loss to Kama Worthy. I thought he looked outstanding in the cage there. And Justin James is as tough as they come. What did you think of that fight?
Yeah, I mean that was almost. I don't want to say I got real emotional, but it was, it hit, man. It really hit. Devontae's such a good kid. And he had a pretty bad hand dealt to him recently, lost his opponent, a friend had to fill in, make his debut, he took a knockout loss, had a really bad injury, had a loss in the family. Like he's been dealing with a lot of stuff lately and a lot of stuff to overcome. Just to go out and get a performance like that was, I was really happy and proud of him, man. It's just, he just kind of get that out of the way, and then he can continue to move forward. But I knew he had a lot of weight on his shoulders, kind of moving into this fight. So I'm happy he's got past it.
I still think he's a threat in that weight class. Still young, got total package. He's good personality, good, exciting fighter, always learning day by day. I mean, you see him in the gym, Zach. I mean, I've been following his career for a while. He's very good. So to see him get this win is a step in the right direction now, 11-2 overall. And for James, I think he'll live to see another day. This guy's always exciting. He stepped in again on short notice, taking it in. I would assume the UFC will give him another fight, but we'll see what happens there. Also on this card in the women's bantamweight division, how about Carol Hossa? Great win over Jocelyn Edwards. Pretty dominant win. She's really strong for that weight class. I don't know if you caught that fight, Zach, but I was very impressed by Carol Hossa in this fight.
No, for sure. I mean, she put it in her wheelhouse like immediately. I mean, you could just tell there was levels to it for sure. Really fascinating that she was a big favorite, I believe, and it kind of proved why and went out and just kind of dominated the whole fight, I believe. But it was a big win for her.
Also in the women's division, in the flyweight division, Laura Procopio getting the win over Molly McCann. Poor Molly McCann can catch a break here. Another loss. She was actually favored in this fight, ends up losing this one. She did put her gloves in at the end. Doesn't look like she is retiring, but you do wonder if the UFC might cut her after this. It just has not gone Meatball Molly's way, but props to Lara in this fight. 7-1 now overall. Looked outstanding on Saturday and really just had every answer for Molly McCann. What did you think of this fight?
Yeah, true. I mean, Molly's fun to watch. You don't want to brawl with her. I mean, she hits hard. She's got, and even on the ground, she had a pretty tight armbar in there, but just, kind of, again, like getting out wrestled, just kind of getting out hustled. And yeah, she was just a little bit too much for her, and she just couldn't keep up. And, she dropped it again. But she's one of those that, I mean, she gets cut or not, like she's always going to be excited to fight and, or to watch fight and stuff. So, I hope maybe, their division isn't really deep, so you can always just keep around someone who is as entertaining as Meatball. So hopefully she gets another shot with the way their division is. But I mean it's hard to stay around if you keep getting those linked together. So.
This one was a tough one, I'm sure, for you. Seungwoo Choi getting the decision over Yusuf Zalal. I know Yusuf, again, stepped in on short notice here, taking Colin Anglin's spot in this fight. But another loss here for Yusuf Zalal. But credit to Choi. He's now 9-3 overall. Pretty good win for him, especially over a guy in Yusuf, who we know how talented he is, as we've seen in the cage.
Very, very. Yeah, I mean, Choi looked good. He looked really good. He impressed me. I knew... I thought that would be a pretty tough fight for Colin and stuff. And then when I saw, Yusuf step in, I mean, that kid's always in shape. He's always ready to go. And he's a gamer. He's good everywhere. So I felt really good for Yusuf with that matchup. But, man, just early, he was getting hit more than he normally does. Man, Yusuf's really good at pulling away and drawing punches and not getting caught. And Choi was doing such a good job of this, finding that range and just keeping him at the end and landing. If they were hard or not, he was still, turning Yusuf's head, popping him a little bit. And, then got his wrestling going and stuff. I mean, just fought a good fight and beat a very tough Yusuf, man. I love that kid. He's super young. He's got a bright future still. And, he's still taking some lessons, Sadly, the lessons are happening in the UFC. But, man, he still has such a bright future. I mean, I really believe he's real lighthearted, when he doesn't like to lose, obviously, but he learns from it. He always comes back much, much better. So, yeah, I mean, hopefully I'll be out in Colorado soon and see him and stuff. But yeah, Choi just looked good, man. He was a better one that night.
Also in the 145-pound division, we had Timur Valiev getting his first UFC win over Martin Day. Martin Day is tough as they come. Another situation where he took this on short notice. Was supposed to be Julio Arce. Valiev looked great though. Finally getting that win. Of course, there was a bit of controversy in his last fight with Trevin Jones with the referee. Maybe stepping in a little bit early. But what did you think of Valiev here? He's been hyped for a while, but I thought he put on a good performance against Martin Day.
He looked great, man. He put the fight right where he wanted to. He got super tight really fast, got in the fit-ins, and he was on the cage on the ground getting the takedowns. He just grinded and man, just looked good. He just almost like he was drowning Day and not letting him use his reach and his length and everything on their feet. So he just did such a good job closing the distance and controlling distance into where it was gonna be his favor, and could just get it on the hips and get the takedown, grind him on the fence and everything. He just did everything right in that fight for him.
And then the last fight, great way to kick off the card. Ode Osborne getting the 26-second knockout KO left cross over Jerome Rivera. Great way to come back after about a year off, losing that fight to Brian Kelleher for Ode Osborne getting the win. And again, another short notice fight where Jerome Rivera steps up and takes the fight. But huge win there for Ode Osborne. I think he's a guy to keep an eye on at 135. This is at 145 because of the short notice.
Yeah. So okay. See, I didn't think he was fought that heavy, and then whenever I heard it was featherweight, I wouldn't know if he's going up or what the deal was. Man, he is explosive, and for having that type of power at 35, man, it's gonna go well for him. I think I was really impressed with how explosive he was. Man, he just again almost like the Sandhagen fight, where he's just kind of like drawing him in circle and just explodes, and I mean clean knockout. It was good, and it was fun to start the card off that way.
And Jerome Rivera is a flyweight. Like he's fought, that's his weight class. So he's fighting at featherweight. So credit to him. I hope the UFC gives him another shot, considering he stepped up 2 weight classes to take this fight. Obviously didn't have much of a weight cut, but still, I mean, that's crazy. That doesn't happen too often where a fighter's competing in 3 different weight classes. Because I know he's also fought at bantamweight as well.
Yeah, that's a thing. I mean, so
the James Krause move, right?
Right. Yeah. Hey, just be ready, an offer. I mean, we've all done it, and he just they accepted it for him. So yeah, I mean, it's one of those where you do favors for the company. You hope they do one back for you. So hopefully they don't hold against them too much for stepping up short notice and going up that much. So yeah, it's just it's a company call at that point. It's like do you hold it against him, or kind of praise him for stepping up and doing you guys a favor, so we keep another fight on that card, basically. So it's weird times right now. So hopefully they don't hold against him too much.
Before we move away from this card, I did talk about the main event of the card on Saturday. Alistair Overeem losing yet again. That's 15 knockout losses in his career, Zak Cummings. And I'm a guy that obviously is just behind a camera here and doesn't fight for a living, but I think this is probably the end of the road for Alistair Overeem. At least if 5 was in his case, that's what I would look at. And I point this out for a couple of reasons. I know it's just one loss that he's had here. I know that it's not like he's been getting knocked out in consecutive fights, but where does Overeem go from here? This was the fight to see if he could still be a contender. He did not pass that test. So now he's going to be fed, I would think, to prospects going forward in that division. Because what do you do with Overeem? He's not a contender anymore. He lost a big fight here. It's not like he lost. He got finished. It was a pretty dominant loss here. Where does he go? At 40 years old, 15 knockout losses. That's what I look at here. He's got to start thinking of his health outside the cage. And I do think if Overeem wanted to hang it up, I'm going to have no issues with that right now, just because I don't know where he goes from here. Do you want to be the guy that they use to build up your prospects, or do you want to be the guy who walks away knowing that you had some pretty good wins and a pretty good career? This is a guy who was a Strikeforce champion. He was a dream champion, fought very high-level guys in K1, came over to the UFC, had a title shot, did not end up winning, but the days of him being a title contender are no longer happening. I mean, I feel pretty confident saying that. His teammate Curtis Blades, he's ahead of him. You've got Ngannou, Stipe, you've got John Jones, you've got so many things that are going to prevent Overeem from ever fighting for a title again. So I think it's time for Overeem at 40 years old to hang him up, find something else to do. And I just think the reason is you could go collect a paycheck fighting prospects. You could go to Bellator. You could go do a lot of things, but I just think at this point, what's the point? You got to look at your health at this point. And to me, 15 knockout losses, that's a lot to have on the resume there. So your thoughts on that, Zach? Do you think it's the end of the road for the Reem?
Yeah, I really do. I mean, he was even saying, he's going to have one more run towards the title, and he would be done. Unfortunately, that run ended, over the weekend. So, yeah, I mean, if that's what if he was going to be done on that last run, then it's over. And definitely, man, he's done some great things. He's been a legend of the sport. So, yeah, I mean, I think he can walk out and everything will be great now. I mean, on the other side, I mean, yeah, there's other options. There's Bellator. There's stuff. I mean, are you fighting for a paycheck, or are you fighting for legacy? His legacy set. He's a legend of the sport. But yeah, I mean, we're kind of done with the title run stuff, and he said he was done once that last run was over. So, I think he should walk away. I think he will, but I mean, if he's got other reasons personally of why he would want a few more fights, financially maybe, then, yeah, I mean, it's going to be, you're going to be used as that gatekeeper or whatever, you get sent over to Bellator or whatever it is, but I'm not sure, but I would like to see him hang him up for sure. I'm right there with you.
And then also big implications in the co-main event. We talked about it there. Cory Sandhagen with the highlight reel finish over Frankie Edgar. I said on this very show last week, Zak Cummings, that even if Cory won, he might have to get another fight. But I'm going back on that now. I think Cory Sandhagen's done enough to earn himself a title shot. Look, it was last year that he lost decisively to Aljamain Sterling. Sterling went in there, got a quick win. Sandhagen didn't even get a chance to really do any damage on Aljamain Sterling. But I think the way you make people forget about a loss like that is getting two spectacular finishes like we've seen from Cory Sandhagen, especially this one on Saturday night. For him to go out there and finish Marlon Moraes, who had never been finished, at least since the Cejudo fight prior to that, and then to go out and beat Frankie Edgar, who's only been stopped twice in his entire career, that deserves a title shot at this point. I know there's some talk of TJ Dillashaw coming back and potentially getting that shot. I think Cory should get the shot, even if Aljamain Sterling wins. I think at this point, with the improvements Cory has made over those last two fights, I think is enough to make me think that he could potentially beat an Aldo or Aljo or potentially, go out there and beat a Piotr Jan. I think what Sandhagen did on the weekend should solidify his next title shot, just with the fact of how impressive he's looked. And you look at the quality of wins as well. Beating a guy in Edgar. I mean, look, he went the distance with Pedro Munoz. He's a guy that's only been finished at featherweight. First stoppage loss at bantamweight for Frankie Edgar after Saturday, with Cory Sandhagen getting the win, defeating Marlon Moraes. Like, these are big wins for Cory Sandhagen, and I think he deserves the next bantamweight title shot for the winner of Piotr Jan and Aljamain Sterling coming up here next month. What do you think of that, Zach? Do you agree, disagree? Curious to get your thoughts.
I agree 100%. Unfortunately, the business we're in is the entertainment business. You have a major factor with Dillashaw coming back. So I mean, that's going to be hard to compete with. I mean, putting the work in, winning in amazing fashion is man. Yeah, he's looked phenomenal with the last couple finishes. Not just wins, but major finishes too. So I think he gets it. But man, there's so much stuff that can happen. You have Dillashaw waiting in the win. What if Aljo gets past Jan and they might have to turn around and do it again? So like, you never know what to do with this within this sport. Whenever like, do you wait? But then there's all this different factors they can play and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think he's earned it 100%. I hope he gets it, but I can also understand with being the entertainment business. If Aljo wins, like, are they going to throw him in there? Are they going to do a another fight for Jan, or are they going to just go ahead and throw a TJ in? I just don't know, man. I think he's earned it 100%, but will he get it? I'm on the fence. I don't know.
Yeah, there's going to be a couple interesting options in terms of what's next. You've got Dillashaw, you've got Jose Aldo, you've got Rob Font, you've got that Casey Kenny and fight. There's a lot of moving pieces that need to happen, I think, before we determine what is going to happen next. But I still want to stand by it. I think Sandhagen's done enough to earn himself a title shot. So that's my thoughts on that. The other bit of news that we had over the weekend happened on Friday night. Knuckle Mania. I don't know if you caught it, Zach. I caught the replay. I did not watch this live. But Paige VanZant loses her bare knuckle FC debut, losing to Briant Hart. I don't really know what Briant Hart was saying in her post-fight interview. It was a little bit confusing, but either way, she got the win, took out Paige VanZant. I guess sort of my thoughts on this are, and we'll start with this, and then I'll get your thoughts on the actual fight. But did BKFC maybe kind of ruin this thing? Because aren't you supposed to have your face of your promotion win the fight? I mean, what were your thoughts on the outcome? Because I'm sure they wanted Paige to get the win.
Oh, they for sure wanted to win. I mean, that's you get someone of that notoriety, and followers and stuff in your organization. Yeah, I mean, you want them to be there and be around and look good and stuff. So I mean, I think they 100% wanted her to win. I mean, it just makes sense business wise, and this is it's entertainment business. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I mean, I think a lot of us been saying it for years. I mean, she's not really she wasn't a great striker in the UFC, and I don't know whenever you go over to a straight boxing organization that you think you're going to do much better. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, she's fun. She's entertaining. She could do a lot of different things and stuff, but there's you still have to win fights. You still have to compete and still have to win fights. And I don't care. I hate sounding too kind of down on stuff, but I mean, like, I'm a fighter's fighter, so it's just how it is for me. I mean, like, you got to go out there and you got to win. It doesn't matter the following you have. It doesn't matter the hype and all this stuff. Like, if you don't win the fight, people forget about you really quick. So, I feel like that was happening, and she tried to get a fresh start over and bare knuckle, and she drops to someone that I don't think anybody even knew of. So, yeah, and then I think Hart dropped the ball on post fight interview. She's got tons of eyes on her, and all these following and stuff, and she really could have done a lot for her brand, and I don't know what she did, but right there, I didn't understand the thing that happened and stuff. I think she really kind of missed the mark with it, but yeah, I missed the fight. It kind of same thing. Went back, saw some the highlights and stuff and everything that happened, but no, I wasn't gonna put my money out there for that event.
Yeah, I think what they need to do is they got to get Paige someone she can beat next time. I mean, this girl was coming off a win, I think, in her last fight. I'm assuming they thought she was going to beat Briant Hart, but they need to give her someone even more of a step down and just try and build Paige back up again. And if you're Bare Knuckle FC, you're using Briant Hart now as the girl who beat Paige VanZant, and you're booking her right away. That would be the smart move. I mean, I know they got to heal up their faces and everything, but the next card, she should be on it, and they should build that as this is the girl who beat Paige VanZant. That's what you have to do. It's the same thing of what Bellator should have done with Zach Freeman when he beat Pico. Build this guy up, right? Like it's one of those things where I think you got to capitalize on whatever result you have here. And, maybe Paige fights Beck Rawlings again. I don't know if she would win that in bare knuckle as opposed to MMA. Maybe you give her, someone that we've never heard of to get her in the win column. We'll see. But BKFC has got to figure out what they want to do with Paige at this point, because, I mean, you're paying $400,000 for a fighter. You want them to win. You don't want them to lose. And business is not good if your fighters are losing. So, yeah, big setback for Paige. We'll see what the next move is there for bare knuckle fighting. The other bit of news we got to talk about, I know it's coming up here soon. I believe he's ready to go, but TJ Dillashaw is going to be coming back in action. What do you think is going to happen with him? Do you think he gets that title shot, or do you think they give him someone else in between, because he is coming off a steroid suspension, Zach? Yeah,
I mean, I think you take someone like Dillashaw, he's, he was trying to make the whole champion thing happen, never actually lost his title. I feel like they're just going to put him right into a title shot. Another big fight, depending on, I think they're probably hoping, I shouldn't say this, but hoping that Jan wins, gets a couple dominant wins and looks like the next big thing. And then you throw the old champion that never lost his title in. And I think he's going to skip the line from Sandhagen, even though I do think Cory has earned his shot. But man, when you have a returning champion and, there's a little bit of drama filled around it with the suspension, but a lot of people are looking out and how good is he going to be, how's he going to be clean and all this stuff, and I'm guessing he's probably better than he's ever been, and I think he probably gets that immediate title shot.
I agree with you. I have the sense that, and this is I'm going to put on my tinfoil hat a little bit, Zach, but I'm curious to get your thoughts on this. So if you remember, back when Aljamain Sterling beat Cory Sandhagen, it seemed inevitable that he was going to fight Petr Yan. However, they took their time booking that fight. In fact, all the way till when Marlon Moraes fought Cory Sandhagen. Now, I think had Marlon won that fight, they were going to give Marlon the title shot over Sterling because that's the fight I know they initially wanted. But you'll notice when Sandhagen won, now we're doing Yan and Sterling. So I have a feeling that the UFC's not too keen on, giving Cory Sandhagen the shot, like I kind of mentioned there. So I think if Sterling wins, I think that's even more true. I think they'll be, sort of gun shy to do that rematch right away and give, you could give Sandhagen, Rob Font, you could give him Aldo, you could give him someone else to do sort of one more fight. But I have a feeling, so the question is, what do I think is going to happen? I think Dillashaw is going to get the winner of Yan and Sterling. Just that's the way it is. Look at John Jones. He came off a steroid suspension. He got to fight for an interim title against OSP. I could see the same thing here happening with TJ Dillashaw. But if we're going off merit, Sandhagen should get the shot, and they should do TJ Dillashaw and Aldo. That's the fight to make, because Aldo just lost his title shot last year. Aldo's a huge name. That's a fight we've never had. Just from a casual standpoint, everyone knows who Dillashaw and Aldo is. That's the fight to make. So if you're going off merit, that's the route you go instead of going Dillashaw right for the shot. But like I said, knowing the UFC and knowing the way they value name value and entertainment, I think Dillashaw will end up getting the next shot. But he shouldn't. It should be Cory Sandhagen. So
I agree, 100%.
What do you think of that Aldo and Dillashaw fight though? That would be pretty cool, wouldn't it?
Aldo and Dillashaw. Yeah, I mean that's. Come on now. I mean, he had the Barra fight multiple times, and if he can have an Aldo fight, I'm in. That's another one. Just name wise, it makes sense. For a title or not. Just if he comes back and they needed, he wanted to fight before he got to the title and stuff. That one, it's always going to make sense. Always.
If you guys have any questions and you're in the chat, just post them here. We got Zach for the next little bit, as well as we're wrapping the show up. But I wanted to actually talk about you. You've got that fight coming up on April 10th against Sam Alvey. You must be pretty excited to fight Smiling Sam. That's going to be a pretty fun matchup.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm fighting the number one guy you would never want to punch in the face, most likely. I mean,
right, yeah.
He's such a good guy, man. He really is. I've always been a fan of him. I really like what he does. I like his style. He's very similar to me. I believe striking wise, he counters a lot. He's a big, big, powerful left, southpaw. So it's gonna be fun. It's probably gonna be two, kind of goofy, powerful guys in there laughing at each other, smiling at each other, and just having fun doing what we love, but being competitive. So yeah, I mean, I'll never say a negative thing about him being an opponent, because he's coming back down to 85, where I think he's going to be more comfortable at, he's more powerful at, and he had a lot of success at middleweight. So you can't count him out. I mean, he's tough in his wins, tough in his losses, and yeah, I'm excited for the fight. But I feel good with it. I feel it's a good matchup for me. Stylistically, I feel like I'm a little more well-rounded and can I've got a lot more finishing factors and tools, everywhere a little bit. But man, he hits hard. He can take a shot, and he's got some sneaky submissions of his own too. So I feel good about it. But I like the matchup. I enjoy it, and I enjoy fighting someone who I'd rather fight someone I respect than someone I really just don't care about. So I know last time I was on here with you, we were talking about someone else, and I don't have to worry about them now, and I get someone I actually respect and care about fighting.
Well, actually, we had a question about that. We don't need to mention the guy's name because they didn't mention your teammate's name either. But they were saying, did you expect Deke Chirico to finish him the way he did? Because he was a big underdog coming in.
I was not expecting it the way he did. I mean, the highlight, the first round. I was telling a lot of people I could expect. I thought he would get dropped because he's been dropped in most of his fights. He's been dropped in a lot of his fights. He has came back and fought back and won most of his fights. So. I don't want to say he's like chinny to be knocked out, but he's all like he's chinny enough to where he's been dropped multiple times. And man, Alessio hits hard. Like he hits real hard. And so I knew he would kind of sit there and brawl. He could take a shot. I mean, I hit him clean very, very hard. I mean, it took a solid hole in my left leg to put him down and stuff. But I put him in the fight a little bit more. And I think other people spending time with Alessio, knowing his chin, knowing how hard he hits, and thinking that Buckley could, the way he's been dropped multiple times. Like I didn't expect the highlight knockout, head kick. I did not expect that, but I thought it would be a lot more competitive than people initially thought, and I thought he would probably hit the canvas at some point in the fight for sure.
What did you think of his Trico's post-fight comments about how you should interview the winner and the loser? Did you see that?
Yeah, I did. Again, talk about how I thought Hart missed the ball and dropped the ball and kind of missed everything on post-fight interview. Again, man, you're on. What was that? That was on ABC, I think, that night. So you have this whole nother group of viewers and all these people watching, and yeah, I thought he just missed the mark on getting his name out there and building his brand and everything. I mean, I get that there's two fighters and there's two people in there that make that fight happen, but I mean, let's be real. This is an entertainment business. There's TV time. Half the time, the winners don't even get interviewed. Like there's times they'll be in a hurry with it. Like, I mean, I've won and not even got interviewed. So it's hard getting that much people on there. Plus, if you get knocked out or knocked senseless or whatever, like you don't want them on the mic and on the on camera and everything. So I understand where his head's at and respect that. But if I look back on the business side of things and just timing and everything, it just doesn't make sense. And I understand that. So I mean, if you want your name out there, you want your camera time, like go win the fight. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, go seek out media after your fight or whatever. If you're not getting because it is a timing thing. Like we had to interview every winner and loser, after the fight. We'd be there till 5 a.m. because you got to upload everything. You got to do the presser. Like it just would be a complete disaster. So yeah, glad. I was just curious to get your take on that as well. We got Radical Rosh in the chat. He's saying, was Zach surprised he didn't get a ranked opponent? And is he looking for one after he beat Sam?
Yeah, I mean, I'm 36 now. I don't know how much more time I have. I mean, obviously, I haven't taken much like damage of being finished and stuff. But I mean, my body's getting beat up. I mean, I went up a weight class. I want to see what I can do. Obviously, I'd like the ranked opponents. I dropped the one with Omari. I think there was some other factors in that fight, and it wasn't just him beating me, but I don't want to make excuses. So I mean, if I could get that one back to prove that I'm right, that'd be great. He's done well coming off a big win, but anybody in top 15, I want. I mean, I don't want I know the smart thing to do is take the easiest fight for the most amount of money and get your wins, but I mean, I do this to compete, and I want the best guys in the world. So I mean, yeah, let's do it. Let's get past Sam. I mean, he's no easy fight for anybody, but let's get past him. And then, I'll be sitting 4-1, I guess, at middleweight now. So, I mean, I think I earned it at that point.
Get a few more questions in and then we'll wrap things up, everyone. But we do have this 258 card. I just want to get your quick thoughts on this one coming up here on Saturday. Maybe not the strongest pay-per-view they put together, but still some good fights, including your teammate, Julian Marquez, who's going to be taking on Maki Pitolo. What do you think of that fight with Marquez coming off that big layoff and Pitolo really in need of a win coming off back-to-back losses?
Yeah, I mean, it's Julian's on 3 fight camps now. He, had one, the fight got bumped, and then was supposed to fight again. The guy didn't make weight and everything, and he got pushed. So now he's on a 3rd. So I'm just, I think in the grand scheme of things, that really might benefit him. Just, got his weight down, just continued to improve and get better, and didn't really have to. It's like he got the weight down for the first camp, and then the next 2 is literally just getting better. You don't have to like worry about all the cut. You don't have to worry about all that stuff. It's just continue to improve and learn and get better. Man, I'm just really excited for him to get back in and do a thing. He loves competing. He's so fun to watch, and he's just he's a character. So I'm happy for him to get in. I think Maki Pitolo is a good opponent for him to kind of show his style, and they're both kind of tough guys who put their head down and brawl a little bit. And I think Julian's the better, more well-rounded fighter. But I think it's gonna be an exciting fight, and I'm just happy for him to get back in there because I know it's been killing him being out this long and dealing with the injuries and stuff. So I'm just excited for him.
Also on this card, I'm interested in your thoughts on this. Pedro Munoz, Jimmy Rivera, the rematch at 135. Munoz is the underdog, which I found a little interesting. I know they both, Munoz coming off the loss to Edgar, which I thought he won, and then Rivera coming off that big win over Cody Stamann. Who are you liking in that fight? Because I'll be honest, I like the underdog here in Munoz.
Man, you do. I don't know. I'm a big Rivera fan, man. I mean, he came on and strong enough. Man, I thought he was good. I'm like, Munoz is good, man. That's a toss up for me. It's hard for me to pick one or the other. I mean, I think Rivera's come off the one with Stamann. I think he took that short, like pretty quick, didn't he? Short notice and stuff. So, but it's a good win for him. And the Munoz fight was really close, but I don't know. It's hard. It's hard for me to pick. If gut feeling, I'm saying Rivera, but it's a toss up for me. I like both guys, and I think it's gonna be a really good fight.
Yeah, and on blitzbet.eu right now, if you guys want to head over there, Jimmy Rivera, minus 143 favorite. The comeback on Pedro Munoz, plus 117. So something to keep in mind there. I just wanted to ask you about a couple more fights on this card as we're wrapping things up. Ian Heinisch, Kelvin Gassem, someone I know you used to train with. Gassem, about a 2-1 favorite right now on blitzbet.eu. I understand that, but man, Kelvin needs a win here. It's 3 losses in a row, including that last fight, which didn't even get out of the first round against Jack Hermanson. Who are you liking in this one in your weight class?
Oh man, you got 2 guys I've trained with. I was on the Ultimate Fighter with Kelvin. I trained for years as teammates with Ian. So it's like 2 friends and teammates fighting each other. It's hard. Man, they're both do things so well. They're both very talented. If I really had to pick, man, I think Kelvin is probably going to use his experience and movement and power to kind of start slowing Ian. Man, Ian's gonna have a finish early, or the longer it goes, I think it's gonna go more towards Kelvin. That is kind of where I'm at. Ian's got a lot of power. He has this up down motion where you don't know if he's gonna shoot it, you don't know if the overhand's gonna come. He hides it really well. He hits hard. He's got kicks coming out of it as well. So it's like I could see him catching and putting anybody down early. He had Brunson, downs, really quick too. And so if it ends early, I got Ian doing it. But man, Kelvin's is so tough, hard to put away, and he just hangs around. And I think the experience might help him out for this fight.
Co-main event, Macy Barber, Alexa Grasso. Barber hasn't fought since that knee injury against Roxanne Modafferi in a fight that she was completely dominated in. And granted, the injury, I'm sure, had something to do with it. But, Grasso, up to second fight at 125. Who are you leaning in this one? Because Grasso's the favorite. If you look on blitzbet.eu right now, you'll see that Grasso is about a minus 143 favorite. Macy Barber, an underdog, which isn't very common for her. I don't know if you trained a bit with Macy when she was at Factory Expo. What do you think of this fight?
Man, yeah. Macy's got, again, she's young, she has a bright future. I am definitely on the Grasso hype train. That girl is a stud, and then even changing weight classes. She's very good. She's got power. She's got very good hands. Macy's got some good kicks and stuff to maybe kind of help with the range, but I think Grasso's gonna start finding her with her range in her hands and end up being the winner.
Do you think she finishes Macy? Because that's the thing. Macy survived 3 rounds with Roxy. I could see this fight going the distance, but I think it'll be close. We'll see.
Yeah, I would definitely bet the over on this for sure. I don't see her getting finished. Grasso's got the power. She got some pop to do it, but I was really impressed with the injury and everything. Even though it was kind of getting dominated by Roxy. I mean, she still survived. She found a way to stay in there. So yeah, I don't see it being finished. I see it going to decision probably.
And the main event, Kamaru Usman, Gilbert Burns, former teammates. Really interesting with Usman now training at Elevation Fight Team in Colorado. Who's your pick in this one? Usman right now, if I'm looking at blitzbet.eu, he's about a minus 286 favorite. I think that line, I guess it's probably where it needs to be, but Gilbert Burns is an absolute stud as well. He's looked outstanding since moving up to 170.
I got Burns.
Interesting. Okay.
Man, I got Burns. I don't know. I've got my thought process behind it, which, competition's completely different than training and stuff. But man, whenever someone is so established and then someone comes in the gym and like someone is doing very well, I think in training and stuff, I think that sticks with you and everything. And it's kind of like you have that big brother effect. And I think it's going to carry over. I really do, man. Man, Burns' ground game's insane. I mean, obviously, multiple world champion. He's phenomenal there. He's a good wrestler. I mean, Usman's an amazing wrestler, but I mean, Burns can wrestle, and they've had that mat time together. Like, he knows how he wrestles. He knows the pressure. He knows what he has to do with. And I think he's got more power in his hands too. So I think he has the finishing factors. Usman has done, and his pressure's insane. His pace is is solid, man. It's hard to match him. So they both have things they do well, but I think that with the finishing, the power, and the submission attempts, and the factors there, I think Usman might not be as aggressive as he typically fights. I think it might kind of get him, and I'm picking Burns to win.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I agree with you on the power. I think Burns has more power in his hands, definitely has the edge with his jiu-jitsu. But I do wonder if this fight goes later, if Usman can, keep that pace up he had with Colby Covington. That's one thing we haven't seen with Burns is him, getting into deep waters, really having to, dig deep and fight late. So I think if Usman's able to survive the early rounds, I think it could be his fight. I think Usman wins the decision here, which is actually plus money, but we'll see. Burns goes out there and knocks him out or submits him. That wouldn't surprise me either. This is such a close fight, like you said, between two former teammates. So we'll see. We'll see how it all unfolds, but good time to wrap up the show. Zach, thanks so much for coming on. We mentioned the fight coming up in April, but anything else you got coming up in the next little bit, or anyone you want to thank, any sponsors, anything like that? I'll give you the floor here.
No, I mean, thanks for having me on here. I love getting to talk to you anytime I can and stuff. Excited for the fight. I got a baby on the way, so that's
awesome. When's the due date?
July. So I'm hoping to get past him, and then get a fast turnaround, then I can kind of enjoy a little bit, and then maybe knock another one out at the end of the year. So so I'm just kind of planning for that, training for the fight, but also just kind of getting everything ready to have my second one come through and stuff. So that's kind of where my head's at, and it's on my mind right now. So that's kind of everything I got going on.
Awesome. And you guys can check me out on Twitter and on Instagram at Lynch on Sports. Make sure you give this video a like. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. We're always putting up interviews every single week, and we have this show every single week, Octagon Outlook, every Monday, 1:15 p.m. Eastern time. Hope you guys enjoyed the fights this weekend. It's going to be a good card. I know it's not the greatest pay-per-view ever, but it should be a pretty solid event, top to bottom. Make sure you tune into that. For James Lynch, myself, and Zak Cummings, hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next week.